What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Kyren Monteiro Show with Season 5 entitled Vision Talk. This is episode number 9 entitled Make It Become Reality, featuring the one and only Brittany Ussery. We're going to play a song and then we're going to dive into it, man.
Give it your all.
Shameless plug.
Give it your all.
My brand new album is available on all platforms right now, man.
Give it your all.
Let's go.
Levitate and keep pushing. Let the work begin.
Yeah.
Give it all for the vision. See it through to the end. Give it all. 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 No time to be wasting. Visionary set dreams.
Yeah.
Sacrifices come with it. Never breaking, don't bend. Give it all. 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 Yeah.
You gotta give it all if you want to be a visionary, man. Salute to everybody watching, man. Round of applause for y'all, man. Make sure that you check the podcast out on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else that you can check the podcast out audio-wise. And then if you want to watch the video, make sure that you check out YouTube and Facebook for high-definition videos. This season, Season 5, we're entitling it Vision Talk, which is teaming up with other entrepreneurs and people in leadership to talk about their journeys. And today on the show, we have somebody who is a trailblazer in her own right. She is an entrepreneur. She is the owner and operator of Innate Texture. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I did? Okay. She is a premier curly hair salon owner based in the Indianapolis area. Her expertise goes beyond hair. She's a multicultural hairstylist, educator, a certified life coach with Lark songs, where she specializes in a unique niche of wardrobe coaching. With a bachelor's degree in fashion and merchandising, she understands the intersection of identity, style, and self-confidence better than anyone. Beyond business, she's a daughter, a girlfriend, a sister, a loyal friend. She's a dedicated plant and nature lover, a connoisseur of non-dairy ice cream, a deep lover of music and the arts. Welcome to one and only Brittany Ussery.
Thank you.
Did I do that justice?
That was great. That was great. Yeah, thank you.
We got a lot to talk about, and y'all, before the show we had like a whole bunch of technical difficulties. So in real time, we are trying a new board along with a semi-new camera setup and trying to up the production, man. So it's a lot of fun, man. How you doing today, though?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Thank you.
This Midwest cold is something else, man.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. It's just I'm not surprised, but I'm definitely ready for the warmth, for sure.
I love Indiana April through like Christmas, but that January through March stretch is rough, man.
That part is killer. I think my favorite is like our spring, summer, fall, and then after that I'm done. I love fall. Like September in Indiana is my favorite time, and then
Really?
after that I don't care about anything else.
I'm trying to think what is my favorite time here. I may like that time. I may like the August, September time because it's coming off of the back of summer. Mm-hmm. So my birthday is May 10th, so I'm a spring baby. So coming off the back of the winter, it tends to be a little bit more cold, probably. Yeah. I feel like when we were kids, that May got some hot weather. It seemed like
it felt like it was always hot in May.
It felt like May through right before Halloween. Mm-hmm. It stayed pretty warm.
It was nice all the time.
But now I feel like it's like June through August.
Maybe June. I feel like last year half of June was cold. I'm just like, I don't know.
I put it to you like this: as an adult, I wear pants through the summer way more than I used to growing up.
Yeah,
it used to be like once it hit 75, it was like shorts. But now I'm like, I don't think I'm putting on shorts till it's like 85.
Yeah, it needs to get hot like it needs to get hot before I'm putting on shorts.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's still cold for the most part. Like there's still a cold breeze somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, man. Well, I want to get into your story. There's on paper, there's a lot of interesting things about you. Obviously, just like everybody else, I'm going to be sitting here listening to your story. And, you know, hopefully we can add a lot of value to people as they watch and listen along. So let's start at the origins, man. Where were you born? Tell us your family dynamic and, you know, kind of just, you know, birth up to kind of high school graduating.
Yeah, so I was born in Kokomo, Indiana. That's where I'm originally from. My parents, Yolanda and Troy, great people.
Salute to the parents.
Yeah, salute to them. They're great. I had a lot of friends. I grew up as an only child, and I learned as I got older, I learned that I have a sister, a half sister, and then I have another sister I learned about as I got older too. But I grew up as an only child. I had a lot of friends. I did hair all through school. I would say that I was a happy kid. I think I was a happy kid. I can't remember any like moments of like really bad time, I guess I would say. But yeah, I had a lot of friends. I was very active in sports. I was doing hair. I taught myself how to braid when I was 12.
Wow.
So even before that, I remember in elementary school, like selling things. Like during recess, I would like make bracelets and then like set up in the bed, in the classroom. I'd be like, all right, I'm selling stuff. Like I was trying to sell stuff at a young age. Then when I realized no one was buying any of that, I started doing hair on the playground. So I was doing hair like under a tree. I was taking my mom's hair products to school and doing hair. And
was you charging at that point?
I was charging. I was charging like $2, $3, like a little something here and there.
I just throw that effect in there.
I was getting my bag early. And so I remember even like people wouldn't pay me and I was writing IOUs and I was giving it to them. And the teacher was like, you can't do that. And I was like, well, they got to pay. So as I got older, I started doing hair. I started braiding a lot more and everything. And I remember I had regular people and my dad told me, he told me one time, like once I was driving and everything, he's like, you're going to have to start charging more. He's like, you have gas, you have these products that you have to purchase. And it's like, I don't know. And he's like, you have to charge more money. So I didn't really have like a sticking point of like why I should charge more money. I didn't understand. It was like this $10 I'm getting is fine for me. But he encouraged me, like, think about like your body, the time that you're spending, like even when you're at school, you're planning this stuff out. So it's taking a lot from you. In your everyday. And so he started to like make me look at how much time I was actually spending. And so I started charging more money. And the only thing I could say at that time, I remember going and doing someone's hair and their mom was like, how much is it? And it used to be like 10. And I was like, it's 15. And she's like, why is it more? And I was like, my dad told me it had to be. And she was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And so then like they paid. And I was like, that was easy. But then once I started understanding why am I charging that, it just became a little bit different. And so then high school, I was doing hair all through high school. I was in sports. I was in choir. I was doing hair. I was working. I was in church. Like I was doing all the things. And then as I got out of high school, I went to college for about a year. And I was like, this shit sucks. I can't do this. I don't want to be in college. Like, this is terrible. And I was like, this is not it. And so I remember falling asleep in like math class. And I think my dad was also in college at that time. He was taking some classes. And I think he walked past my class and he was just like laughing at me, like as I'm asleep. And I'm like, you're paying for this. Like, you should be concerned. Like, why am I just sleeping in this class? And so I remember going to my mom probably like a couple of days later. And I was like, I think I want to go to hair school. Like, I think I'm ready to do that. And I asked my friend, like, what's the acceptance rate? I didn't know anything about it. So I was like, how many people do they accept? She was like, girl, just go apply. Like, it's nothing like that. Just go apply. So I went and applied. Or I talked to my dad first, and I was nervous. But he straight up was like, oh, thank God. I'm so happy that you want to do this. And I was like, so I'm in college right now. Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, just go drop out. Like, just go drop out. We're going to enroll you in cosmetology school. This is what you're supposed to be doing the whole time.
Okay, so I told you we're going to be doing some freestyling.
Yeah.
Along with the questions. So your pops. So first off, coming from a 2-parent household, you know, I don't care what anybody says. That matters.
It matters. Yeah.
I wasn't raised by my biological father, but I was raised by a man who married my mom and adopted me at a very early age, like 1.5. So I didn't realize until being grown the impact of having a mother and father in the household versus people that didn't. Because I'm sure growing up in Kokomo, just like me and Marion, you've seen a lot of people who probably single moms for the most part. I mean, there were some single dads, but more commonly
single moms.
So you having that supportive father and him not trying to force you to do anything. Because our generation was forced with the narrative of you graduate, you go to college,
you get a job,
you
get married, you have the kids, and like you stay at that job until you retire.
You want your 40 acres. You want what is the
your
American
40 acres and a mule? Like you want your stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean that's kind of American dream, right? You go, you get a degree, you get a house, you get a car, you work till you retire. That's kind of what it is, and you realize that college wasn't for you, and you had a dad that and a mom that like fully supported you through that. I think that's important for parents watching, not to force your kids, right? To paint them into the image that you want them to be. They need to be who they are.
Yeah, I feel like I have had this conversation with my parents when it comes to like other issues too, of like having children and things like that. And it has been a tough conversation to have with him, but the more we talk about it, it is like, okay, this is your life. This is what works for you. I have seen, I'm sure I have friends whose parents have pushed them in directions that they want them to go, but I don't know them at this moment. Like, I don't know how that's worked out. I assume not very well, personally. But I was very grateful that my parents listened to what I wanted to do and, okay, let's get you in that. Let's do this. There were some things that I wanted to do as a kid that my parents said no to. And growing up, I was like, that really hurt. And even now to this day, I'm like, that hurt. I wish I would have been able to do that. And so I can just go out and go do it myself. But my parents never held me back from if there was something that I was showing like extreme interest in. And I was like, no, I am doing this. And I'm like applying myself to it. They went hard at it. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Look.
Good job to them.
Round of applause for that, man. You got to send them this. Having that 2-parent household, growing up in Kokomo, like how did that? What did the mold of where you come from? How did that shape you into who you are today? Because how we grow up in the environments and what we see, good and bad, they shape who we are, whether we want to admit it or not.
I have moments where I'm like, that stuck out. That stuck out. I remember there was one specific moment. I don't know how old I was. Let's just say I was like 12, 13, something like that. Me and my mom were shoveling the back, trying to like get her car out so that we can go somewhere. And I was like, why are we doing this? Like, where's Dad? He can do this. Why are we doing this? And she was like, he's tied up. Like, he was probably at work. He was doing something else. And I was like, we don't need to do this. We're women. What are we doing? And she was like, listen, you don't need a man to do everything. She was like, you don't need a man to do anything. And I just was like, oh, okay. And she was like, you don't have to depend on people. And if you depend on people, then you're going to be sitting around waiting. And then like, you're going to like, that just builds more things. She was like, you don't need a man to do all this stuff. You can do it yourself. You are able. And I think that, that gave me a sense of independence that is probably a little bit dangerous at times, but it definitely helped me feel a lot more confident walking into spaces of, even if I don't know something, I'm independent enough and able to either get the information or figure it out. So that was definitely a formative moment. And my mom is the oldest of 5 girls, and they grew up essentially with divorced parents. So my grandmother took care of these 5 girls in like on a secretary income.
Wow.
So there's a lot of like strength. I will definitely say there's a lot of strength on both sides of my family, but I definitely look up to like my mom's side of the family of being raised by a single mom. So, yeah.
What was what was growing up in Kokomo, Indiana like? I mean, because it's a little bigger than where I'm at in Marion. It's definitely bigger, but it's not much bigger, right?
Right.
You know, but it is bigger. What was that like?
It was fine. I felt supported by my friends. I felt supported by my community. I wasn't I wasn't sheltered in a way of like not being talked to or not being told about the world. Like I was definitely told about the world. And my parents, they traveled a lot. So I got to see the world too. It wasn't like I was just held in Kokomo. I was able to then like see more stuff and then even see like, okay, when I get older, I don't want to live here. I want to do this. Or if I like when I get older, if I do live here, this is what I want it to look like. And so that helped. I think that helped a lot. I feel like in Kokomo, for the most part, I felt really supported. I had a lot of friends. I had my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family. A lot of them live in Kokomo, so I had family around.
Nice. It's great to have a village. And at a young age, would you becoming an entrepreneur, like having that, you know, like you said, you was getting to your bag early at a young age, was the thought of what you were being presented with a struggle at that time of just like working a 9 to 5? Was that a struggle for you? Like, did you have it made up in your mind that you wanted to work for yourself, or was you just trying to hustle up money as a kid?
I don't think I knew that I wanted to work for myself until I worked for someone else. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, this ain't gonna work.
So you worked at another salon at one point?
Yeah, I've worked at other salons. So like I had jobs all through high school, but I think my first salon that I worked at was actually in Lafayette. Okay. And it was fine. No issues. I didn't have any problems, but I noticed in that moment, I was like, oh, they're not going to go get clients from me. I have to go get my own clients. And so I would do that, but being in a space that no one knew me, it was hard. It was hard to do that. So I think I stayed there for about 3 months. I was like, I'm not going to make any money. I'm not going to make the money that they promised. And so when I went back to Kokomo, I rented a chair and I was just like, all right, let's do it. So I had like those big yellow signs with the arrows and the flashing lights pointing at it. Like I had that set up. I had I paid monthly for that thing. I would change it out all the time to promote myself and promote my services. And then eventually when I left that salon, I went to a different space and it was actually, that salon was inside of a workout gym. So there were constantly people walking past. And so there was a big whiteboard out. So I was writing on the whiteboard, like I was advertising and getting people however I had to. But I think the moment I worked for someone else and realized like some of the boundaries or some of the like things that I didn't have control over, that's when I was like, if I can work for myself and I can make my own hours and I can make my own schedule and I can make like the life that I want for myself, why wouldn't I do that? Right. And so I knew it was going to be hard. And I don't know that I necessarily knew like that Brittany didn't know that this Brittany would be sitting here today saying this stuff. Like I had no idea what it was going to look like, but I knew that whatever it looked like, I wanted to have control over it. Nice. And so I decided that young.
I think that, and that's amazing. I think when it comes specifically for people wanting to start their own companies, right? Start their own businesses. Everything you just said is what people think of. I want freedom of time. I want to control my own schedule. Rebellion against authority a little bit, right? Yeah. I don't want somebody breathing on my neck because especially if you work like factory jobs, you know, like and very, I did that. Very strict. Yeah. Very, very zero attendance, zero tardy tolerance. Is like it's 40 hours a week. Yeah. And that seems like a lot when you're younger. Yeah. Then you grow up and you're like, bro, life could happen in a whole year. I only got 40 hours of like life could happen. That can be gone in 1 week. Yeah. Sick kids, I get sick, whatever the situation might be. Yeah. So I think the idea of time and control of freedom, less authority, being your own authority is what people fall in love with the most. But there's all the other stuff. Like you said, you got to get your own clients. The overhead of the business. You have to pay to create your job at first. Yes. Because most people, when they're starting businesses, you know, some people never get to the point to where they can walk away from their business, where it operates. So you still you got the golden handcuffs. You got the freedom, but you still are, you know, doing your business and operating it on a day-to-day. So as you got into it, getting the freedom that you wanted, the time, controlling everything, what was the financial burden like of starting the business?
At first, it didn't seem too big.
Okay.
At first, like if I'm looking at it right now, in comparison, it was, what do I need to do my client's hair, like my combs, my shears, my brushes, like my tools that I need in my kit all the time. But then the add-on of like the daily cost or the weekly cost of like supplies that I have to get, like hair color, shampoo, conditioner, things like that. That started to add up. So that felt like a little bit more of a constant that I always had to do. And then like paying booth rent and then paying the taxes. And first time I did my taxes, crashed out. Absolute crashed out in my car multiple times. What do you mean I have to pay you $3,000? Who's getting this $3,000? Like, who is the IRS? Like, it was just like, it was too much. So there's a lot of crash outs in that time. But at that time, it seemed like it was a lot of startup, but looking back on it, it wasn't as much. Now with where I am of like, okay, I purchased a building and now I'm going to grow this space in this building. That is when the costs are really like, oof, it's hitting different. Now,
you talk about taxes and you talk about, you know, the responsibility that comes with after you make the money. How old were you once you first figured that out? How long in your journey were you when you really had to start worrying about taxes?
It was my first full year doing hair. So I was probably like, oh gosh, I don't even know. I was early 20s. When I did that.
Yeah, it's a lot different than a W-2.
Oh my gosh, it's so different. It was so different because I didn't have, in hair school, they don't teach you that stuff. They may now. But at that time, they didn't teach you about your taxes and how to keep your records or how to keep all of your receipts or how you need to file or you're technically a contractor or how to get insurance. They didn't teach you really a lot of the business side. So then I was just looking at all these other hairstylists who were in the industry who had been in it for years. And I was like, so how do you do your taxes? And so I was just picking from each person and like trying to get their information and their knowledge. And then I think once I actually figured it out and figured out how to do it, it was probably like 3 years in. Yeah. Where I was like, okay, I understand this now. Like, I have to save all these receipts. This is a write-off. This is this is that. I have to file this by this time. If I don't do this, if I don't pay these extra taxes, like if I don't do that stuff, I started to realize the repercussions. So I would say it probably took me a good like 3 years to really get it down.
So for anybody that wants to get into the beauty industry, whether they're doing hair, cutting hair, lashes, nails, what advice would you give them on the business aspect of the beauty industry? Because it's a huge industry.
It's a lot. I think something that has been helpful for me that I would pass on is to just keep good records. If you already have like a business account set up, then obviously like taking all of that through there, but like keeping good records and understanding where your money is going. I think that's a big thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you using like accounting and bookkeeping software like QuickBooks, or are you more so doing everything kind of manually?
I've been doing everything manually. So I keep all my receipts, and then at the end of the year, and I'm still in the process, like at the end of the year, like I have a spreadsheet of like, okay, how much did I pay in booth rent? How much did I pay for, like, how much did I spend on products? How much did I spend in mileage? Like, I have all of this stuff that I just like enter in my own numbers, and then I take it to my CPA and I'm like, here's all my stuff. So I'm looking to get an accountant this year. Because I don't want to keep doing this.
Have you ever had it been audited? Like, have they ever came back?
No, I still have all my papers and everything. So if they do, like, I have all my stuff. Don't come for me, please. But I still have all my stuff just in case. But yeah, I do my best to keep good records. As soon as I'm done, I put it all in like a shoebox. I write the year on it.
Well, I have a business coach. Shout out to my guy, Trent Daly. And he's been astronomically impactful for like the marketing agency that we just started. He owns a company named Insurance Management Group. And you know, they are growing, they're huge, and a lot of employees. And one thing that I've realized about the data of accounting. We think it's just about taxes, but it's also a snapshot of your business that tells a story. So your balance sheet, your profit and loss, as a business owner, is telling you whether you're making good decisions or not.
Yeah.
And so, like in my business, it takes a lot of tech, a lot of subscriptions, a lot of software to give a certain kind of level of client experience. And it sucks sometimes when I look at, paying for this stuff on a monthly, on an annual basis. But it also lets me know the other areas of where I need to grow. You know what I mean? So you were talking about how you tried to go to school traditionally, figured out that wasn't working. You went into beauty school. After that, you were able to launch a career after figuring out you didn't want to work for somebody. You said beauty school didn't teach you all of the business stuff. I think a lot of people don't realize just because you know something on paper, that doesn't mean you have experience, right?
Yeah.
And so what, for somebody that is going to school for whatever kind of business that they want to start, a lot of times in the real corporate America, they won't give you internships or they won't give you jobs if you lack experience, right? So if somebody is wanting to be fresh out of school in the beauty industry, they don't have the experience that they need. How do they gain that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. One of the main ways, or like one of the most popular ways, I guess you could say, is like an apprenticeship at a salon. So there are some salons that do it and some that don't. But essentially, they all work a little bit differently just depending on the salon, but it'll be so many months or so much time frame. You may have like certain courses that you have to take. You might work with one stylist or you work with multiple stylists there. So essentially it's like understanding their systems, understanding how they operate, understanding how they do business. And you have the basics from school, but they just may want to help you with different placement or help you with your speed, or just, you've learned this stuff, but like, let's hone in your craft a little bit more. So that's one way to go about it. Other ways could be just working at a salon and really working closely with the staff, being a new stylist and like having them help you grow yourself. I think that's a lot of how people usually do it, is some internships or apprenticeships.
That's dope. I think that's hugely important, man. And so you got your bachelor's in fashion and merchandising. You went to school originally, then you went to beauty school. Where did the fashion and merchandising degree come from?
Yeah, so I don't know how many years I was doing hair, but I was doing hair for a little bit of time, and I've always been interested in fashion, and not necessarily like runway stuff, but more of like the business side of the fashion industry. Okay. So right out of high school, when I was going to college, I think I was telling people I want to be a fashion journalist. It's like, I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to write like editorials. But I was like, I had a come to Jesus moment. I was like, I don't like to read. So what makes me think that I'm going to go write all these big ass articles and I don't even like to read a single book? This isn't going to happen. So I honed that in. And when I went back to school, I decided to do fashion merchandising. I went to the Art Institute. It was up and running in Indianapolis at the time. And the main reason I wanted to go back is because I realized that my body was not going to let me work forever. And so in my mind at that time, let me go get another degree, so that if my body starts to give out on me, if I get burnt out on hair, whatever that looks like, I have something I can fall back on that I'm still passionate about. Nice. So that came in at that time.
Nice. Yeah. And that brings you into... That brings me into this next question about you being a certified life coach with Lark Song, a nonprofit that is headquartered out of here in Marion, Indiana. Salute to Miss Megan Gilmore, who's the executive director of Lark Song. That's where I originally met you, working on the podcast for Lark Song. And so you specialize in wardrobe coaching, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so I originally I started getting my life coaching certification back in 2015.
Oh, wow.
And I started then, I think it was 15 or 16, but I remember going on a hiking trip in 2015. And that's when it was like, this is amazing. That's when I realized that life coaching didn't have to just be this like straightforward looking at the other person. It could be explorative. It could be out in nature. And that's what fascinated me a lot about it, is that it could move, it could mobilize. So when I started my process during that time, but I didn't complete my certification. I moved away. I was in Texas. Lockdown happened. And I was watching Queer Eye like every morning.
So you were down in Texas during COVID. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, I moved there in 2018. And during that time, when I was during lockdown and everything, I was watching Queer Eye. And I kept feeling this, like, I don't know what it was, but I kept feeling this pull to go to Arizona. Don't know why. It was just like something kept like pulling me that direction. And I kept saying like, oh yeah, when I was in Arizona, and I would pause and I was like, I've never been there. So why do I feel like my body has already been there before? Something strange about that. And so I remember waking up every morning watching Queer Eye, and I was thinking like, I can do some of these things. Like I have my certification in life coach, or excuse me, that time I'm a hairstylist. I have fashion wardrobing. Like I have all of that stuff down. I had some other things that I enjoyed doing. And I was like, I think I want to go back and get my life coaching certification. So I reached out to Megan, and she actually was like, we're actually going to be doing a cohort in Arizona. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. So I went to Arizona and did my certification. And through that, when you're in the program, you learn about life coaching all around, like all the mediums that you can use it with. But what I kept finding myself coming back to, or what felt easy for me, is wardrobing.
Okay.
So essentially with that, I created a whole package where me and my client will discuss like their current wardrobe and where they want to go. Like, where does their future self see themselves? How do they dress? How do they show up? And so we explore a lot of those different things. I also go into their closet, and we pull everything out of the closet, and we go one by one, each piece at a time. Like, does this still honor your future self? Does this honor your future self? And we put them in piles. One of the people I did this with, we put everything in piles, and she donated like all the stuff that she didn't want anymore. And then when she came back to her closet and put everything in there, she was like, there's like not a lot here, but this is exactly the things that I wear all the time. So then from there, we made a list of the things that she wanted to make sure that she got back into her wardrobe. And then we went out shopping and did some coaching around all of that. So.
Wow. So I guess for clarity, several questions. First off, can you tell people what life coaching is and the differences between life coaching and therapy? Because I think a lot of times people don't know.
Yeah, what it is, or how to distinguish the two.
Because I remember hearing life coaching. It seemed like during COVID it became more popular. And I remember on Facebook just like everybody talking about they were a life coach and doing virtual coaching sessions. So I feel like in the last 5 to 7 years it's become
like a bigger name.
Like more mainstream. You know what I mean? But I still think a lot of people don't know what life coaching is. And the differences between that and therapy. Yeah.
So I'll explain it how I explain it. And I hope that I honor Lark Song and Megan correctly with this. But how I like to explain it a lot of times is, instead of like therapy, where they take you back to your past and unpack those things, with coaching, it's taking you from where you currently are with your things and moving you forward to the direction that you want to go. The coach is not an expert at you. You are an expert at you. So the coach's job is to essentially ask you questions, ask curious questions to understand you. But in turn, like, you will start to reveal a lot to yourself. You're doing, the client is doing the most work, and they're understanding a lot about themselves and being able to work through whatever they're working through, or get them to their next phase in the way that they feel is best for them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So obviously you got your certification through Lark Song. You're still a part of that organization, I'm assuming. Yeah. So is that similar to when you work at a beauty salon, booth rent, like, to be a part of that organization? Or is it like you have your own life coaching business, it comes under that umbrella? How does that work on the business end? It
can. So you can be a coach within Lark Song. You can also, what I like to do, how I use my coaching a lot of times, is I use my coaching with my clients. Like, I'm not coaching my clients in the chair without their permission, of course. But if we feel like we need to go there, like if I ask their permission to coach them around something, I have that ability to do so. But I created I guess I could say, a workshop for parents and caretakers who have kids with curly hair and helping them understand how to do their kids' hair. And I used some life coaching practices or things that I've learned through that process. I used that in my coaching or in my workshop. So it could be used a lot of different ways. I think sometimes people think that you have to become a coach where you have to open up your own practice, and you don't. You can use it as like professional leadership development and everything to help hone in your own skills through whatever you're using it for.
Have you guys ever seen somebody have life coaching and therapy, both? Is it like it's either one or the other?
I did that. Okay. So when I was in Texas and I was going to be making my way back, I had a therapist. I would every Thursday, I would meet with my therapist in the morning, and then I would give myself like a little bit of a break, and then I would actually meet with my coach afterwards. Yeah.
And how was that?
It was good. I feel like that's when I personally got a lot of movement during that time.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was able to talk about the things that I was currently experiencing with my therapist, and then also like some things that I was unpacking from childhood and also unpacking from the relationship that I was in at that time.
Nice.
So I was able to like work through all of those things with my therapist and understand like how that shame was coming up and how I was feeling and all of that. And then I would go to my coach and I'd be like, okay, this is what I talked about in therapy. This is how I'm feeling with it. This is where I want to be. And so then we would move forward from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And for people that may not know what a wardrobe coach is, because I'm curious too, what specifically is wardrobe life coaching, and how does someone know if they need that, right?
Yeah. So I designed it for the person who, not the person who wants someone to tell them what to wear, but the person who wants to understand their own style, and the person who's maybe has never even understood how. There's some people who just don't know how to go shopping. There are people who literally just like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't know what stores I even should go into. I don't know what I should pick up off the rack. I don't know what size I am. There are people who have just no idea. And so I designed it for those people, but also for those who have a lot of clothes in their closet and they almost like stand back and like, these clothes don't represent me. They don't define me. I didn't design mine to be something of like telling you what to wear. So I'm not going to just take someone shopping. Like, let's go shopping and I'll tell you what looks good on you. I'm doing the internal work of asking you and understanding how you feel as a person and how you feel like you should dress, and then getting you to that.
That's awesome, man. And so for wardrobe coaching, you know, for a woman out there or a young lady out there, Is it like a psychological thing that you guys are going through as well? Because I would imagine if you're saying somebody doesn't know how to go shop, is it like, is somebody looking to say, hey, I'm insecure about my look?
It can be.
I don't like the way I feel. So is that like paths that you go through, or is it more so I'm just confused what to wear? Or
it could be that, but I've also had men who are in that same position. There are some men who've been like, I just don't know what to wear. They lean on the people in their life to kind of dress them or to tell them what to wear, but they don't understand their own style individually. There's a lot. I mean, speaking for myself as a woman, there's a lot of pressure as to how to dress and how to show up and how to look. From like the moment that you're born till you're older, like you're constantly being looked at for what you have on, or being picked apart for what you have on, or for what you don't wear, or for showing too much of your body, or not showing enough of your body, or not smiling. Like there's so many pressures on a woman just to exist in the world. So them also then not feeling, for me as a woman, then not feeling comfortable in my own clothes when I exist in the world and not knowing how to take care of myself in that way, that feels kind of like it's all caving in. So it might sound kind of small to some. They might be like, it's just clothes, but it's not. Like, it's your identity. It's how you show up in the world. It's how you represent yourself. It's how you stand tall or how you shrink. Like, there's a lot of that. And I see that a lot in women, but I see that a lot in the men that I've talked to as well around their wardrobe.
Nice. For somebody who is wanting to dive into any goal, right? Whether they want to start, it could be a business, it could be going to school, it could be a form of leadership, but something that requires like a next level of determination and faith. What would your advice be for people that want to like dive into a certain sector of a vision for themselves? I know it's a big question.
No, yeah. I think there's a lot of maybe things I could say, but I would say stay true to you. Sounds basic, but stay true to yourself and know what doesn't feel right. Like if you feel in your gut that it doesn't align with your values or it doesn't align with a direction that you're going in, that might not be where you want to go. Like pivot, do something different. And don't be afraid to speak up and say what you don't know. I think that's been something that's been really helpful for me is like, yes, I'm a hairstylist and I'm stepping into salon ownership in a different way, but there's a lot of things that I just do not know. And so if I act like I know it, then I'm gonna be so lost in these conversations. But I've been very honest. I'm like, I do not understand this, but I want to understand this. Can you help me understand how this works? So I think that's been a lot. That's been good for me. That feels good in my gut to speak up and say what I need. So I think the big piece that I would say to people who are about to make the next step or about to take a different move or whatever that looks like is know the direction that you want to go or know what you want it to look like. And if the direction or the path that you're on doesn't align with your values, and change that. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Piggybacking off of that, what kind of I don't know if I want to say character traits, but what type of things does somebody need to possess in order to step out and create their own path, right? Because you're going against the grain of what you're taught, right? And it's not very many people are successful at how you've been able to sustain as a business owner, as a visionary. What kind of things do you think a person internally needs to possess to really be able to weather the storms and stay on that path or even start on that path?
This is when I'm going to cuss. I think, honestly, you need to have a couple of things. I think you need to be okay, first off, not being understood. That's something that I'm constantly having to relearn, is that it's okay for people to not understand your goal exactly. But if you have vision and you understand it and you know that it can be successful and like you have direction, go for it.
100%.
But I think you also have to have a little bit of fuck it. Like you have to have just a little bit of that in your system. I'm so sorry if people are like, oh my gosh. But you have to have a little bit of that in you, a little bit of that like, I am determined at all costs to do this. Like I will lose money for this. I will bleed out for this. I will do what I need to do to make this work. I think you have to have a little bit of like, this is going to be scary, but fuck it, let's go. Like you have to have that.
Yeah. If you could rewrite the definition of visionary in your own words, like if Webster approached you, dictionary.com approached you, what would be your version? What would be your definition of that word? I ask every guest on this season this question.
Ooh. I don't even know. I would say a person or an individual. I guess it doesn't have to be a person or individual, but person or individual, oh gosh, I don't know. That should have been something I thought about overnight. But
let's make it easier. What is a visionary to you? How about that?
Oof.
Based on your own experience, because you are a visionary.
Yeah. Thank you. I would say someone who can see something that's bigger than themselves. Yeah, someone who can see something that's bigger than themselves and know how to get out of the way of it. Yeah, someone who can see something that's bigger than them and it poses a different mission or it takes care of people in a different way, like it makes life better for people. I'm always on the positive visionary form. I'm not here to destroy systems. I'm only here to I'm here to destroy terrible systems, but I'm here to make things better for sure. So yeah, someone who has a vision of something that is bigger than them, and they are determined to get it there, determined to reach all the people that it needs to, and will make a way out of no way. So
I love that. I love that, man. We gotta clap it up on that one, man.
Thank you.
That's dope, man.
Thank you.
I'm no stranger, obviously. My wife is an African American woman. Well, she's half Puerto Rican, but she's African American woman. I have 2 daughters. Raised in a family with very strong Black women. My mother, my grandmother, my aunts, cousins, great aunts, just like really kind of, strong Black women. I know that in this country, you guys have had it rough. Like already, you're minority as a woman, but it's a double minority thing as an African American woman. This applies to any woman, but especially African American women who want to be great sometimes in systems that are not set up in their best interest. Specifically to them, what would be your advice, and how would you encourage them if they're listening or watching right now?
I think the first thing that comes up is do it anyway. Like, I think of all the salons I've worked at, I've been the one person at every salon, with the exception of one space I've worked at. I've been the person who can do everyone's hair. I've been the person who can take anyone who sits in my chair. And there's sometimes that I feel like it's not fair. Like, it's just not fair sometimes. But I think I also use that to my advantage of my versatility. It doesn't box me in. And I think that also helps me to keep thinking bigger outside of myself when I am creating.
Gotcha.
I think with little limitations because of that. So I think my advice to any brown woman who is wanting to create something, especially if you're in a space where people don't look like you, is do it anyway. Because your dream shouldn't be squashed just because people don't look like you. Your dream shouldn't be squashed just because someone else doesn't understand it, or they're like, I don't know if you're going to succeed here. Like, you can do it. You can do it. You might have to fight a little harder. You might have to grit your teeth a little bit more. You might have to make extra phone calls, but they will respect you.
100%,
so,
man.
Yeah.
That's admirable, man. That's admirable. You also are a lover of music. You're a lover of the arts.
Oh, yeah.
Which doesn't shock me, because it seems that athletes, people in the beauty industry, and the arts, they all go together.
They tie together so well.
They all, and at the heart of our people, we are fashionable. We're very artistic. We're very spiritual. Very creative. And I think that one of the guests before you, my guy Darius Darling, who's a gospel artist out of Detroit, but he lives in Fort Wayne now, and we talked about how even during slavery times, when some people don't like times now, but I will argue that was the worst time for us as a people in this country, right? Not even having a choice of your circumstances. That had to be the roughest, right?
Yeah, we weren't seen as people.
Yeah. So even in the worst time historically in this country specifically, we still were creative. We still kept the faith. We were still innovative. We still married illegally because they wasn't supposed to get married.
Yeah.
And some of the greatest hymnals of all time come out of that era, right? So with you loving the arts and you loving music and creativity, we live in a time right now where I feel like telling the truth through the arts, the cancel culture, if you want to say, and it doesn't have to just be about your sexual preference or orientation. It can be about anything. The truth that you want to speak on, that you have the right to speak on, people will try to shut you up. And it's very easy to do on this internet, right? And so when you look at the arts, I would include stand-up comedy in the arts. People like Dave Chappelle are incredible. People can say what they want about Cat Williams, but these type of comical artists are incredible at using their platforms. How important is it to keep the authenticity of art protected? That's my first question.
It's very incredible. It's major to keep it. And I understand that art is constantly changing, but I think protecting art and protecting those who create art and speak of the art and speak of the truth and protect those, I don't think there's any other choice. We have to protect them. I think we have to.
And we have artificial intelligence coming in, right? And so in your industry, in the beauty industry specifically, I don't never really see, I don't know how AI can ever replace barbers and beauticians and lash techs, right? But in other forms like music, photography, videography, different type of digital-based production, there's a lot of people that are fearful of being replaced, right? By it. What is your thoughts about artificial intelligence being integrated into art? I don't think it's all bad, but I do think there's bad that comes from it.
I don't think it's all bad, but I do think that there's bad coming from it. And what I'm really struck by right now that I'm like leaning into and learning about is the environmental impact. I don't know all of it, but I know that it is a big environmental impact. When it comes to, I will say that it does affect the hair industry in the way of when clients bring in inspiration pictures. That affects it a lot.
Speak on that, please.
So it was one thing to have people bringing in pictures of celebrities. That's one thing. But then when people start bringing in pictures that are clearly not real, like very AI, it's hard to then tell that person that it's not possible to do that on their hair or to do that in general. Or like maybe it can be done, but it can't be done on their hair for a certain reason.
Has there ever been a time where it's been hard to tell if it's real or not? Or did you know?
I think it can be at times. I think there are moments that it can definitely be hard to tell if it is real or not. There's some pictures that it's like you're looking at it and you're like, no, I can see the shading right here. That is AI. But yeah, I think there are times where it can be tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time in your life where you were involved in the arts at all, like outside of being a hair beautician? Because some people will argue that that's art in a way.
Yeah. So I was in show choir when I was younger. I also did. I did show choir through high school, and then when I got out of my senior year, I was the lead in a musical called Seussical the Musical. So I was that character. And then after high school, I was involved in community theater. Okay. So I did singing, dancing, performing, everything else. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. These days when you say arts, I have to like be more open-minded. We're actually in the process of starting. Well, I don't know. I can say it. We're in the process of starting a nonprofit organization called Art That Positions. It's already been incorporated. Legally, it's already a corporation. We already got the logo. We already snatched the websites and the emails and all of that. So we're getting a board of directors together right now. And the hope for that is to be able to get grants, right? And teach kids and young adults the arts, because if they would just come through our for-profit company and we bill, it's going to be a lot of money. Yeah. You want a 6-month program, it might be $6,000 to $10,000. Yeah. Parents don't have that kind of money. Yeah. Young adults don't have that kind of money. So hope, it's a beautiful thing because we're able to take our space and our assets and teach and open up ways. So it's beneficial in many ways. But I bring that up to say, when I think about the arts. I feel like back in the day, it was very easy to identify. Oh, you paint, you draw, you sing, you rap, you produce music, you do photography. But I feel like now, I think that we have to expand that.
Yeah.
That world, right? And so because when I think about the beauty industry, so when you think about yourself as a beautician, or you think about barbers, lash tech, nail techs, I mean, I see things that nail techs are doing.
Yeah.
And they're doing design on these nails that are
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And that stuff takes time.
It does. You think about the tattoo artists and what they're doing. I think there needs to be a way of where the beauty world and artists are like collaborating more. I don't know how that happens because they are two different worlds.
Yeah.
But I wish that it could happen more. So
I think a lot of times our industry, like the hair and beauty industry and barbers, I don't want to speak for nail techs, and I definitely don't want to speak for tattoo artists, but I will speak for myself as a beautician, and then barbers, some barbers. A lot of times our industry was looked at as a service industry. Yes, we are providing a service, but we are artists. And I don't think people look at us as artists, but it's like, no, the stuff that we're doing, that's artistic. Not everyone who goes to school to be a hairstylist can do hair. Not everyone who goes to school to be a barber can do that. But there's a certain kind of artistry that you have to have. I think it can be taught, but I think there are some who are just naturally ingrained in them. And so I think our industry, like I said, a lot of times it's looked at as a laborious task, and it's looked at as, some may look at it as not professional, or just like a little something that you just like a little certificate, you just get that and you go. But I'm like, no, this is an art form. Hair is an art form. Hair is a fabric. So I think a lot of times hairstylists, for myself, I do collaborate with a lot of artists. I do my best to find other artists or other creatives that I can work with and collaborate with through my business. I'm always looking for that.
That's dope.
Yeah, like even when it comes to like my bags that I have created, I have bags that I've given to new clients, and then when I have workshops, I give away my bags. And that was like, the design was designed by an artist, a friend of mine who's an artist, but the bags are then created by another friend of mine who's an artist and who is a music producer and everything else, but she also has a printing company.
Dope.
So
she's here in Indiana?
No, she's in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have like everyone, I sat back and looked at it one year. I was like, everyone that I worked with this year for my business happened to be a woman, and they all happened to be artists. And it was like, whether the artistry was their main or their side gig, it was still something that they took a lot of pride and time in to create. So I do think stylists and I do think stylists and barbers collaborate with artists. I think there are a lot of times that I do see it, but I think a lot of times too, our industry has been looked at as just a laborious task, and it hasn't been looked at as an artistry. So yeah, I'd like to change that.
I titled this episode number 9 of season 5, "Make It Become Reality," because I try to do my due diligence before people come here. If I don't know them, I know a little bit about your story from Lark Song's podcast, but I didn't really, know the story. But when I kind of look at the things that you've done, I'm like, I just see like a grinder. I see a hustler. I see somebody, and so that's why I wanted to title it "Make It Become Reality." And I think that that's apparent because you've given advice that just says make it happen, right? Yeah, make it happen. And so I think that there's a lot of value for people here. I don't think that paths that myself or you have taken, I don't advise it for the normal person. I don't mean to sound elitist, but you gotta be a little delusional to step out on faith and do the things that we've done. And I wouldn't recommend that the average person goes down this rabbit hole. I think that is for unique people. You know what I mean?
I definitely think okay, this goes back to visionary. I think it takes a visionary to do some of the things that you or I have probably done. Something that I have on my plate right now that I have delusionally seen a vision for is I found this, a friend of mine told me about a space. It's a client of mine told me about a space. And I went and looked at it. It's in a building called the Milky Way Complex in Indianapolis. Shout out to them for working with me, but the space it was created back in the 1800s as a dairy company. Like it was a dairy factory.
Wow.
And then it's probably been used as other things since. I assume it has. I don't know all the transitions that it's gone through, but the room that I found, when it was shown to me, I just walked in and I was like, oh shit, I want this space. I was like, I want this. So sorry to those for me cussing, but sensitive ears. But I was like, I want this space. And so I delusionally saw this space, I asked questions, but drew up the contract in ways that felt good for me. And I'm looking at this now and I'm like, I am going to build a salon in a old dairy company this space is an old garage. So I'm converting an old garage with 20-foot ceilings into a salon space where people can come and create.
That's amazing.
And thank you. And in my mind, I was like, this isn't just a space where I'm creating for hair artists to come or like hairstylists. I'm like, this is for artists to come and work in. This is for artists to come and show off their craft. So I delusionally saw this space and I was like, yeah, it's going to work. I know it's going to work because I have enough willpower to make it work.
And how recent was this?
I signed that lease in February.
Oh, wow. So
yeah, it was like a month. I signed it just a little over a month ago. So
for those listening, we are in the middle of March currently in the year 2026. Obviously, it will be later when this airs. You could be hearing this a year later. It could be 2 years. It could be a month, whatever. But it still applies. You've seen something. You had a vision. Yeah. Off rip. Once again, some people say that being a visionary is seeing what others can't see. Mm-hmm. I think that's more of the textbook. But I think that sometimes when you go down a path and have your own experience, you start to have your own wisdom. And I think that we can get 10 visionaries in a room, and all of them are going to have different aspects of what that means. I also want to say to listeners, and you chime in on this, being a visionary doesn't mean that you have to be an entrepreneur. There's a such thing as entrepreneurs as well. You can work for somebody and add a lot of vision to that company. Salute to my team at Media by Canvas, which is our marketing agency that we just started last year. You want to talk about vision? That's a marketing agency is not in my plans. For those who know, I'm an award-winning audio engineer, and so that is coming from the realm of music, and doing audio production. I put so much time and so many years into that. But owning a record label and doing the things, you're releasing product under a record label, you're releasing services. So, I'm very capable of it, but it's not something that I wanted to do. But our marketing director, he's my guy, Daryl Hardy Jr. is graduated from Ball State. And even though he doesn't own the company, he is an integral part of our company. And he has been able to come and still put vision into the company, still breathe life. So you don't have to be a entrepreneur or a CEO to add vision. You can make yourself valuable individually and go add a ton of value to a team and get compensated extremely well.
I think so. I think there are a lot of people who don't want to own businesses, and that is fine. I think there are some of us who are really delusional and are like, no, I want to own this. Like, I want to take full responsibility of these things. But there are also people who can be visionaries in supportive roles. And it doesn't have to be supportive roles of like the grunt work, but it can be bringing extra minds, bringing extra inspiration, bringing extra, like, have you thought of these things? Like, there's so much more, and the wisdom that others can carry and bring with you. I think vision can look different, and it can be hosted in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's been a great episode, man. I really appreciate you coming on. I got to give you a round of applause again, man. Great story.
Thanks.
Shout out your social media, your website, wherever people can go check you out for women that want to come.
Yeah.
Get their hair done. For people that want to get wardrobe, life coaching.
Yes.
Yeah. Where can they find all of those services?
I would say find me on Instagram.
Okay.
Brittany Ussery, Brittany. Last name Ussery, Ussery. Brittany Ussery on Instagram. And then my business is Innate Texture. And there's also an Instagram, Innate_Texture, where you can find me as well. Yeah.
And then so your individual IG is how they can get a hold of you for life coaching?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the best way to get a hold of me for life coaching. That's the best way to get a hold of me for a lot of things right now, only because I'm still building up my website and everything else. So when it takes time. Yeah, for sure. It
takes time, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, making the drive down. Yeah. Is there any last kind of advice or tips you would give people, any encouragement kind of ended off?
I think first I want to say thank you for asking me. Thank you for having me. This was great. I was like, ooh, what are we going to talk about? I think what I want to share with people is just to live boldly, live vibrantly. You said vibrant yesterday in a text, and I was like, I don't use that word enough. So vibrantly, live big. Just because others around you may not look like you or may not be doing something like you or may not even dress like you, that doesn't mean that you have to hide yourself or shrink yourself to fit in with everyone else. You can be that bright person in the crowd. If you have a dream, if you have something that you want to do, talk about it, be about it, journal it, vision it, do it all. I think a lot of times when we hold our dreams in and we don't share that with people, then it can't become real. So the second you share that with people and it becomes bigger and bigger, that's when that vision can actually come to life. So, and take care of people.
See, she keeps at it. See, my brain goes, man. I'm trying to get her out of here. She keeps going. You just talked about basically what you just said is outside of being who you are, being who unashamedly, and being who you're called to be. Add value to people. Yeah. We live in a time that is selfish. Oh, yeah. It is me, myself, and I. Yep. It's what I want. Yep. There's a huge sense of entitlement. Mm-hmm. And I hear, our age group, I'm about to be 36. Mm-hmm. I'm 38. I didn't want to say it. Yeah, it's okay. You're still young, but I'm going to let you say that way you don't come back and punch me. No, you're good. I don't mind. I'm good. But we're still young, but there's a generation under us in their 20s. There's a generation under them coming into adulthood where I feel like everything that's just being taught is about you, yourself, you. Mm-hmm. But the truth of the matter is that you don't really serve the world greatly until you add value to other people. Yep. Right? Yep. And there's a lot of times as a person and as an entrepreneur where I've wanted everything to be about me. Mm-hmm. Very narcissistic in my thought processes and in my actions. And I've had my business coach and other people just hold me accountable and be like, yo, it's about adding value to people. Yeah. Yeah. And until you add value to people, you're not going to be successful. Yeah. Something I've noticed with my business is I have the experience of being a new hairstylist. I have the experience of moving to another city and having to start a new clientele. I've had to learn things that I've never learned before. I've had to do things on clients' hair that I was like, this is my first time ever doing something like this. Running to the bathroom to look it up to be like, do I know how to do this? And going back, I've had a lot of experience as a hairstylist. I also have had experience as owning my own business. And I know what things I need to have for myself to feel comfortable. And something that I told myself is when I create this business and when I open this salon, I don't want the salon to just serve me. I want it to be a space that continues to nourish the people who come into it as well. So I want my salon to be able to run without me. I want it to be bigger than me.
I want my salon, and my salon will look completely different than other salons. So it will be a multicultural hair cutting, styling, and education space. So we won't have hair color at first. I just want to like run with the vision of the things that I have. And I'm like, there's so many spaces where people can go and get their hair colored, but there's not a lot of spaces where white women, black women, Hispanic women, like all types of women are coming into one place, and men, excuse me. Like there's not a space where a lot of these people are working in one area and doing locks, twist, braids, extensions, curly hair, shags, creative cuts, barber cuts. Like I want all of the creative styling in my salon. And I don't want that because that's something I don't see around me. And I want to be able to host that. I want to be able to host all of those creatives in my space, and I want them to work together and understand each other's practice. So when I create my business, I'm creating a business that, yes, it will take care of me and it will make it so that I can step away from it, but I'm growing a space that is bigger than me, that's taking care of more people than just myself.
Right.
So, and I always like, when I get on Instagram, follow me, you'll see my things. I always have my coffee video. So I always do a little coffee video. I started that last year. It just stuck. And I was like, I'll just keep doing it. But I always say at the end, have a good damn day. And it's like, no matter what's happening, you go have a good damn day in any way that you see fit and take care of someone else. Yeah. Whether that's going and buying someone something nice or just complimenting someone. I've had so many women in the stores that like I just tell them like I love your glasses or I love your shoes or I love this. And some people are like, thank you. Like surprised that someone would give them a compliment. But it's like, why aren't we just giving people compliments? Like why aren't we just like do something small to make someone's day? Like it doesn't have to be major. But you're right. Like we live in such a selfish culture that if something happens to you, it's automatically the other person's fault. And it's like, no, look at yourself. It might be you, and that's okay. You can apologize and keep it pushing. It's fine. But yeah, I definitely think it's important that people think about yourself, yes, but definitely think about your impact and the people around you. And if you're creating a business, how does that take care of other people? Well,
just like you said, in general, I think, like you said, the common courtesy of giving people compliments and different things, because it doesn't hurt to give somebody a compliment, right? It doesn't hurt at all. Like if I'm out and about and I see a guy's swag is right, I'll give him compliments. Like you know, like I love jewelry. Yeah. So you know, if I see a dude with a nice watch, I'll be like, yo, that watch is crazy. Yeah. The watch is cold. Or I've never been a person, even in like rap. Rap is very competitive. So as a hip hop artist, is very competitive. I think everything is very competitive in life. And I've always been a guy that liked to support people, but I also realized that sometimes that is not reciprocated back. And I found myself that not only do you need to add value to people, but sometimes you need to put boundaries around the value that you extend. You know, somebody told me don't put people on pedestals that they don't put you on. Yep. So I think that matching energy is a dangerous game. I hate that term.
Matching energy?
I'm gonna match your energy. Yes, because I feel like that means that if you're nasty, then if I'm nasty, you control me. I can still, like you said, have a good damn day. I can still have a great day even though you're being terrible at the end of the day. But I think there's a balance of going out of the way and supporting people. So like, I'll be honest, man, like I probably got to get back to this, but like on social media, I don't even share posts anymore. Unless I really rock with somebody. I try to stay off of it, but I went through this phase of like just trying to show love, encourage people. Sometimes you don't feel that back, and then you end up getting mad and bitter. So I stopped doing it. But maybe that's matching energy. I'm probably being a hypocrite in that sense. But I think the world is a better place when we are thinking about more than ourselves. And I think that right now we live in a time period where if it's not beneficial, then you know, I know some entrepreneurs that they're like, if it's not a money conversation, I don't want to be a part of it. That is a dangerous world to
I think
live
that's
in.
dangerous. I think that's dangerous because
I've been there at times.
I think I've definitely been there. Actually, I don't know that I can say that necessarily. I think I'm getting to a point where I'm having to say no to things, which there's one part that feels good, but then another part that doesn't feel good because I want to do a lot of community things. I want to do a lot of community outreach or services or things like that. But unfortunately, I don't always have the capacity or have the time because of the things I'm trying to build.
Right.
So I find myself on the opposite side of that. I find myself like having a conversation with someone and like, oh yes, this feels aligned. And if they say money's involved, I'm like, oh great. I was willing to do that for a little price of nothing or, whatever that looks like. But I think the second we shut down conversations because there's no money involved, we're shutting off our, it's almost like cutting off an arm because your reach or like you're extending to your community or what you will do for people, like it kind of limits that. So. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, man, we appreciate you for coming once again, man.
No problem.
As she said, man, be yourself, be great, extend grace to people, compliment, be kind.
Yeah.
And you do not have to be a business owner to be a visionary, right? You can follow your purpose, be who God made you to be, and you don't have to always be a boss. Being a boss is overrated. I'm gonna just say that. It's overrated, man. I think that you can be a leader without having fancy titles at times.
Yeah, I think you didn't ask for this. But I think sometimes if we put boss on our labels all the time, then it almost makes it seem like we have to show up a certain way. We have to know everything about everything. But that also doesn't leave room for you to just take care of yourself and just admit when you don't know something. So. I know like the term boss babe was around for women a lot and like boss bitch. And I was like, I don't really like that sometimes because it kind of like puts this performativeness on you. But yeah, don't expect yourself to show up like the next person.
No, I think the only time titles are important for two reasons. I think there's internal benefits and external benefits for an organization, company, whatever you want to say. I think internally, it's important for that team to know who is who.
That's fair. Yeah.
What that role is, and then how they connect.
That's true. Yeah.
And then I think externally, it's important for people. Human beings are creatures by habit. So sometimes it's good for us to know. That you're the CEO of Innate Texture so that they know who they're dealing with.
Yeah.
It's good for this person to know that, this person is a marketing director or a director of sales or a chief operating officer or a vice president or whatever, because sometimes on the outside, it helps us to know. But the most important thing is forget the titles, like just execute and make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can be a CEO and be the most unproductive CEO on the planet, and you have no movement.
Exactly.
So I think we live in a cap culture right now where people are more in love with titles and looking great instead of being great and focusing on results. And I don't
cap
think
culture, yeah.
I don't think our school systems prior to high school, prior to college, like K through 12, I don't think that they've trained up kids to be results focused. Right?
Yeah.
Very servitude, very structure based, which is good because you need those things. But I think when you focus on results, I think you have to be a visionary of some type to do that. So, all right, man, we've been telling y'all we're gonna get off here 3 times, and we can keep going. Follow Brittany on social media. Look her up on Instagram, Brittany Ussery. Make sure that you check the podcast out on all platforms. You can check me out at KyrenMonteiro.com or at Kyren Monteiro on like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I have an X, I never use it. I have a TikTok, I barely use it. But Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, definitely Check out the show on YouTube at Kyren Monteiro. Check out the podcast on all the platforms like Spotify and Apple. And we appreciate y'all tuning in. This is season number 5, Vision Talk, episode number 9, featuring Brittany Ussery. And we will see y'all next time. Thank you.